What's up guys and welcome back to my channel. Jiri Prochazka has responded to claims that he was losing his fight against Khalil Rountree before securing the knockout victory. Appearing on the Pound for Pound podcast, Jiri discussed his recent performance and addressed the idea that Khalil had won the first 2 rounds. During the conversation, Henry Cejudo told Jiri that it seemed like he was down on the scorecards heading into the 3rd round, but Jiri immediately disagreed, insisting that wasn't true. He explained that while Khalil may have thrown more punches early and landed a few solid shots, he never felt like he was actually losing the fight. In Jiri's view, he was in control of the rhythm, the movement, and the overall flow inside the cage. He said that his strategy was to study Khalil's timing, make adjustments, and slowly start taking over as the fight progressed. According to Jiri, everything he did inside the octagon was intentional. He was analyzing every exchange, every setup, and every mistake his opponent made. Jiri admitted that the first round might have gone to Khalil on points, but he felt that by the 2nd round, the momentum had already started shifting in his favor. He explained that during training camp in Arizona, his coaches encouraged him to take more calculated risks, and that advice played a big role in his final round approach. When the 3rd round started, Jiri said he decided to trust his instincts and push the pace, even if it meant taking a few risks to land the decisive blow. He emphasized that nothing about that final round was reckless. He knew exactly what he was doing. He could see Khalil beginning to fade, losing sharpness with every exchange, while he himself was gaining confidence. Step by step, Jiri said he was able to find his rhythm, pressure forward, and force openings that led to the knockout. By the end, Jiri made it clear that despite what people might think, he never once felt out of control. His plan was to start slower, build up intensity, and unleash more power and precision as the fight went on. And that's exactly how it played out inside the cage. And before we continue, make sure to leave a like on the video and subscribe to help support the channel. Moving on to another news, Alex Pereira has shared his thoughts on a potential super fight with Jon Jones, calling it a win-win scenario for both of them. Speaking in a recent interview with ConnectCast, Alex explained that he's always been interested in the idea of moving up to heavyweight, but for a long time, he held himself back. He said there was a point where he told himself to stay disciplined, remain in his weight class, and focus on maintaining his health. However, now at 38 years old, Alex admits he's starting to think differently about his career and legacy. He said that the fight with Jon Jones feels like something that truly needs to happen. According to Alex, Jon himself recently spoke about this matchup in an interview, and both of them seem to share the same mindset about it. They're 2 of the biggest names in the sport, and a fight between them would be monumental for MMA. Alex believes that no matter what the outcome would be, neither of them would lose from this fight. It's not just about titles or rankings anymore. It's about 2 of the most dominant fighters of this era testing themselves at the highest level. For Alex, it's a dream scenario where both men gain respect, attention, and history, regardless of the result. He sees it as the kind of matchup that defines careers and excites fans across the world. Moving on to another news, Dan Hooker has shared his reaction to Arman's game plan ahead of their highly anticipated main event clash at UFC Qatar. In a recent interview with Home of Fight, Hooker addressed Arman's comments, where he confidently stated that he plans to take Hooker down and wrestle him for the entire 25 minutes. While Arman's wrestling ability is well known, Hooker doesn't seem overly concerned. In fact, he believes Arman is the kind of fighter who often adapts to his opponents rather than forcing his own style. According to Hooker, Arman is a fighter who tends to meet his opponents wherever the fight goes. If you strike with him, he strikes back. If you grapple, he's more than willing to wrestle. Hooker acknowledged that Arman is extremely capable in every area of MMA, but he made it clear that he's just as prepared for both striking and wrestling exchanges. Responding to Arman's claim that he'll tire Hooker out with relentless grappling, Hooker laughed and said that wrestling isn't a one-way street. He explained that you can't just wrestle someone and expect only your opponent to get tired. Wrestling, according to Hooker, is a grind that drags both fighters into deep waters. He said he's already ready to get tired and even joked, saying, "What are you gonna do? Make me tired? I'm already tired, brother." Hooker emphasized that he's been through countless wars and knows exactly what it feels like to push himself to the limit. He's ready to suffer, to fight through exhaustion, and to meet Arman head-on wherever the battle goes. Despite all the tension between them, Hooker showed respect toward Arman. He admitted that, regardless of the bad blood, Arman might very well be the most skilled fighter in the lightweight division, even when compared to the current champion. Hooker said that when you want to test yourself, you go after the best opponent possible, and for him, that's Arman. While many fans were hoping to see him face Justin Gaethje in what would have been an explosive matchup, Hooker explained that the fight with Arman was the one he truly wanted. He believes it's the biggest challenge available and the perfect opportunity to prove himself. Hooker knows that a win over Arman would immediately propel him into title contention, potentially setting up a championship fight next, possibly even against Ilia. Confident, composed, and motivated, Hooker said he's ready to leave everything inside the octagon in Qatar. For him, this fight isn't just about rankings or revenge. It's about proving that he can still hang with the best in the world, and that his time at the top of the lightweight division isn't over yet. Moving on to another news, news, Duplessis recently shared his honest thoughts on a potential fight between Khamzat and Alex Pereira. According to Duplessis, there's absolutely no chance Khamzat could ever beat Alex if the two were to face each other. He explained that while Khamzat is known for making bold and unpredictable callouts, this particular matchup just doesn't seem realistic to him. Duplessis said that Alex has reached a level where he's not only one of the best in the UFC, but one of the greatest athletes across all combat sports. He pointed out that Alex's power, precision, and calmness inside the octagon make him an incredibly dangerous opponent for anyone. When talking about Alex's recent performance, Duplessis mentioned how massive and dominant he looked even at light heavyweight, especially in his fight against Ankalaev. He emphasized that Khamzat, despite being talented and confident, wouldn't stand a chance against someone with Alex's size, striking ability, and championship mentality. Duplessis also added that the fight is unlikely to happen anytime soon, calling the idea more of a hype-driven fantasy than a genuine possibility. In his view, Alex is operating at a completely different level right now, both physically and mentally, and few fighters in the world could truly challenge him inside the cage. Moving on to another news, Renato Moicano has stirred up controversy once again after taking aim at Ayman Zahabi ahead of UFC Vancouver. During a recent discussion, Moicano expressed strong opinions about what he sees as favoritism from the UFC towards Canadian fighters. He claimed that Canadian athletes are often given easier matchups and better promotional opportunities compared to Brazilian fighters, who, according to him, are constantly thrown to the wolves. Moicano didn't hold back his frustration, saying that it feels like the UFC always tries to build up Canadian fighters while making things much tougher for those coming from Brazil. He said he absolutely hates Canadian cards and believes they rarely deliver exciting matchups. In his view, the organization often tries to make local fighters look good at the expense of international ones. Talking about the upcoming fight between Chito Vera and Ayman Zahabi, Moicano didn't mince his words. He admitted that he straight up hates Zahabi and hopes Chito beats him badly. Despite recognizing that Zahabi is skilled and intelligent inside the octagon, Moicano made it clear that he just can't stand him. He called Zahabi ugly in a heated rant, saying he reminds him of someone he personally dislikes, though he quickly added that it wasn't meant to make fun of anyone. Moicano continued by explaining that while Zahabi does have solid fight IQ and good technical ability, he still believes Chito has the better all-around game. He acknowledged that Zahabi recently pulled off an impressive win, but insisted that the upcoming fight won't be easy for him. Moicano admitted that Zahabi is on a good run, showing sharp striking and solid defense, but he still believes Chito's power, durability, and relentless pressure will be too much for him. He said Chito's chin, striking, and experience make him a tough matchup for anyone in the division. As the interview went on, Moicano kept doubling down on his belief that the UFC gives Canadian fighters too much leeway, while Brazilian fighters have to constantly prove themselves. He ended his rant by reaffirming his hope that Chito gets the job done and exposes what he sees as the UFC's bias on Canadian cards once and for all. Moving on to another news, Ilia recently shared his thoughts on Merab and his potential to dominate even beyond the bantamweight division. Speaking to Bets in Sport, Ilia praised Merab for his relentless work ethic and incredible mindset, calling him one of the most genuine people he has ever met in the sport. Ilia said that Merab is built differently, describing him as a true warrior who never stops pushing forward no matter the challenge. Ilia revealed that he has already spoken to Merab personally, telling him that he should seriously consider moving up to featherweight. According to Ilia, Merab absolutely has what it takes to become a two-division champion. He believes Merab's pace, cardio, and non-stop pressure would cause serious problems for anyone in the featherweight division, including Alexander Volkanovski. When asked about a potential matchup between Merab and Volkanovski, Ilia didn't hesitate for a second. He said he knows exactly how that fight would go and has no doubts about the outcome. In his words, that fight ends with Merab's hand raised. Ilia explained that Volkanovski is one of the greatest champions ever, but Merab's energy, wrestling, and relentless style make him nearly impossible to handle over 5 rounds. For Ilia, it's only a matter of time before Merab moves up and proves what he's capable of. He wished him good luck in his upcoming fight and said he has complete faith that Merab will continue to rise and eventually capture that second belt. Moving on to another news, Umar Nurmagomedov finds himself under extreme pressure heading into UFC 321. After suffering a broken hand and coming up short against Merab, Umar is determined to bounce back stronger and reclaim his place in the title picture. This upcoming fight against Mario Bautista is not just another matchup, it's a crucial test for Umar, both mentally and physically. During a recent interview with MMA Junkie, AK head coach Javier Mendez opened up about the kind of pressure Umar is facing ahead of his return. Mendez explained that carrying the Nurmagomedov name automatically comes with a heavy burden. There's extreme pressure on him, he said. You've got to understand that last name carries a lot of weight. There's big honor attached to it. Usman is undefeated. Khabib was undefeated. Umar was also undefeated for a long time, and people naturally draw comparisons. I used to call him the young eagle, and it's true. He was following a similar path to Khabib, showing that same discipline discipline and dominance early on. Mendes went on to say that Umar's recent struggles have been as much mental as they've been physical. He's gone through a tough journey both physically and mentally, he explained. But what stands out about Umar is his competitive nature. He wants it so bad. He's a fighter through and through, and you can see that fire in his training. Yesterday, I saw some unbelievable sparring sessions from him. That's how I measure things. Not by what fighters say, but by what I see in the gym. And what I saw from Umar tells me he's ready to make a statement. Despite the immense expectations, Umar appears focused and calm. His recent setback has only fueled his motivation to come back stronger. Meanwhile, Merab has already made it clear that he'd like to face Umar again and prove his superiority once more. Speaking in a separate interview with MMA Junkie, Umar responded to Merab's comments, saying that he's not the type to shy away from any challenge. I can't say I will not fight with him or that I'm scared. That's not my style. That's not a champion's mentality, Umar said. If he wants to talk, let him talk. We're going to see what happens when the time comes. As UFC 321 draws closer, all eyes will be on Umar Nurmagomedov to see if he can handle the pressure, deliver a dominant performance, and reclaim his momentum in one of the toughest divisions in the sport. With the legacy of his family name behind him and a point to prove, Umar is stepping into the octagon not just to win, but to remind everyone exactly why he was once considered the next great eagle of the UFC. Moving on to another news, Alex Pereira has found himself in hot water with the Russian MMA community after shocking accusations surfaced online. In a recent interview with Magomed Ankalaev's close friend and ACA fighter Ramazan Ameev, serious claims were made suggesting there may have been a mole inside Ankalaev's training camp, leaking information to Pereira's team ahead of their title fight. The comments came during a discussion with the Russian outlet Ushatika, and they quickly went viral, stirring massive debate across MMA circles. According to Ameev, Ankalaev has been struggling both mentally and emotionally since losing the belt to Pereira. He described Magomed as feeling completely empty, rarely smiling, and constantly looking stressed after the defeat. Ameev said that the loss deeply affected him, and the aftermath hasn't been easy. But what caught everyone's attention was when the interviewer shifted the conversation to the injuries Ankalaev was dealing with before the fight. That's when the topic of a possible mole inside his camp came up. When asked if it was true that someone might have leaked strategic details to Pereira's camp, Ameev didn't deny the possibility. His cryptic response immediately set social media on fire, with fans and analysts dissecting every word. Some accused Pereira of foul play, suggesting his team might have had access to confidential information about Ankalaev's training and injuries. Others argued that it could simply be an excuse for the loss, but the speculation hasn't stopped growing. In Russia, the reaction has been particularly intense, with many calling for an investigation or at least clarification from both camps. The controversy has cast a shadow over Pereira's latest victory, which some fans are now calling questionable due to the rumors of espionage and Ankalaev's pre-fight injuries. Pereira himself hasn't publicly addressed the accusations yet, but the timing couldn't be worse for him. Adding to the tension, Pereira reportedly suffered a broken foot during their second fight, an injury that could keep him sidelined for several months. Early reports suggest his return could be targeted for the massive UFC White House event in June, depending on how quickly he recovers. Despite the injury, Pereira remains one of the most feared strikers in the sport. But this controversy has undoubtedly added another layer of drama to his already intense rivalry with Ankalaev. For now, all eyes are on how both sides respond as the Russian MMA community continues to debate whether there really was a spy inside Ankalaev's camp, or if this is simply another heated storyline in the ever-evolving world of mixed martial arts. Moving on to another news, it looks like Khamzat could be facing RDR next in what might become one of the most talked-about middleweight matchups of the year. After the recent withdrawal of Anthony Hernandez from this weekend's UFC Vancouver card, many fans assumed that Nasruddin Imavov would be next in line to challenge for the title. However, the UFC has remained completely silent about Khamzat's first title defense, and now things are starting to make more sense. During his media day appearance on Wednesday, RDR made an interesting statement that immediately caught the MMA world's attention. He said that Imavov is not getting the next title shot, which explains why the UFC hasn't made any announcements yet. According to RDR, if he manages to defeat Brendan Allen this weekend, he will be the one stepping in to face Khamzat for the belt. It's a huge claim, and it's quickly become one of the most discussed topics among fans and analysts. RDR has quietly built an impressive resume, and his skill set makes him a legitimate threat to Khamzat's dominance. Not only is he a dangerous grappler, but he also possesses solid striking with excellent timing and precision. He's known for landing sharp knees up the middle and using his long reach to control the distance. Joe Rogan recently spoke about this on his podcast, saying that RDR might be the toughest stylistic challenge Khamzat has faced so far. According to Rogan, RDR's composure, durability, and world-class jiu-jitsu could create real problems for Khamzat if the fight hits the ground. Rogan also praised RDR's striking, pointing out that he mixes in his combinations beautifully with that sneaky lead knee that often catches opponents off guard. He said RDR has the experience, toughness, and fight IQ to make things extremely extremely interesting. Given Khamzat's explosive wrestling and relentless pressure, this potential matchup promises a fascinating clash of styles, one built on chaos and aggression against another based on composure and technique. Meanwhile, RDR still needs to get through Brendan Allen, who is no easy opponent. Allen's well-rounded game and constant pace could test RDR before he earns that title opportunity. But if RDR delivers a highlight reel finish, especially after his recent unanimous decision win over Baralho, he could very well secure his shot at Khamzat. With the middleweight division heating up and several contenders making their case, the UFC's next move will be crucial. For now, fans are keeping a close eye on RDR's upcoming fight, knowing that a win could set up a showdown that would send shockwaves through the division. Moving on to another news, Chito Vera has opened up about one of the toughest stretches of his career, admitting that he felt completely burned out during his recent layoff. Chito is set to return this weekend against Sahabi, marking his first fight since August 2024, when he suffered a unanimous decision loss to Davison Figueiredo. That defeat led to the longest break of his professional career, and for the first time, Chito has revealed why he decided to step away from competition for a while. He explained that after years of pushing himself non-stop, both physically and mentally, he reached a point where he simply couldn't keep going at the same pace. He said when you start to fall short, it's easy to point fingers at others, coaches, friends, or even family, but deep down, you always know what's really going on. Chito shared that he had to sit down and have an honest conversation with himself to figure out what was wrong and why things weren't clicking the way they used to. According to him, it wasn't about losing motivation or passion for the sport. In fact, it was the opposite. He was training too hard, pushing his body every single day because he genuinely loves what he does. Chito explained that he doesn't drink, doesn't party, and doesn't do drugs. Training is his lifestyle, his escape, and his way of expressing himself. But over time, even that passion can lead to exhaustion if you don't slow down. He admitted that the break was necessary to reset his mind and body, to find balance again before returning to the octagon. Now, after months of reflection and recovery, Chito says he feels refreshed, focused, and ready to remind everyone of the fighter he truly is.